the most important scientist from Serbia, Nikola Tesla, said the focused force applied in many small quantities has much and much more greater impact than an equal force applied all at once. And we could not imagine a better company that embodies this than Ant Financial, especially through its brand purpose initiative, Ant Forest, that is helping both people, planet, and eventually profits.
Dear ladies and gentlemen and respected members of the jury, we are truly honored to stand in front of you today and for the opportunity to discuss our thinking and recommendations with such an expert as you are. Thank you for providing us with such a challenging case and, of course, for your time. My name is Natasha, and I will be the first speaker for today. And these are my lovely teammates, Rastko, Isidora, and Miloš. And together we are both IT consultants proudly representing the University of Belgrade and our country, Serbia. Today, we will start with a brief overview of where we are today and where we want to be in the future. And then we will dive deeper into what are the key strategic alternatives we have considered today and what are the analyses we have covered. Then, Isidora and Rastko will provide you with the strategies we have conducted today and the deep implementation of them. And then our finance guru Miloš will provide you with the financial effects, and then we will conclude with a timeline and contingency plan. So today, the Ant Financial is the world's leading fintech company with the best CSR project in the world, Ant Forest, but is currently lacking in having a sustainable financial model and in retaining its users. But in the future, we want Ant Financial to have a sustainable Ant Forest project and to become even more significant with a sustainable financial model and to be fresh and entertaining to its users. So dear ladies and gentlemen, here is a key question and how we are going to achieve this. So let me present to you our strategies, small change for the world and beautiful change for the world, which we strongly believe will overcome the two key challenges that Ant Financial is currently facing with its Ant Forest project. So the key challenges for today is that Ant Financial is currently lacking to create a sustainable model for Ant Forest. And the key challenge is in financial sustainability and to sustain its user stickiness. So we strongly believe that with our strategies, small changes for the world, we will change the Ant Forest financing model, and we will overcome the challenge with the financial sustainability. And secondly, by gamifying Ant Forest, we are going to sustain the user stickiness on our project. And now Rastko will guide you through our strategic alternatives.
During reading the case and through our discussion, we came to the 4 distinctive strategic alternatives. First one being to close the project that was posed to us, and that would definitely reduce the cost. However, it will betray 350 million users that we have here, and also it will effectively destroy a forest that we have already built, thus creating inevitable damage to our company, and that is what we are not going to do today. Our other alternative is to continue with the model as is, or as we are doing it now. It is a verified model. It's a good one. However, it has unsustainable costs that are going to just grow and grow and grow because there is very much to do in helping our planet. And also, the users will get saturated with the current model where we develop our own games and our own features for this. So we are also retracting this one and not doing it. Our third alternative that came up to our mind is to include user in the financing model, and this is going to create lower costs for us, and it's going to provide users to be more engaged. However, there is a fear of commercialization here, but we will overcome that. And finally, our fourth alternative is to open our platform to everybody to develop. It is going to create more interesting features, and it's going to engage users more with this, but we are going to have lower control. However, we believe that we need to make changes, and that is why we are picking our third and the fourth alternatives.
So when we approached the analysis of the problem, we saw through analysis of the triple bottom line that there are 3 main factors in every corporate social responsibility. We have people, profit, and planet, or in this matrix, environment, social, and economics. And when these 3 mix up, we get different kind of impacts on our business. When we mix economic and social, we can add value to our employees and other citizens of the world. When we mix social and environment, we get green impact. And when we mix economics and environment, we see that a business can do much for the planet, as much as planet can do for the business. For example, my friend Rasko, when he entered the room today, he saw Financial Times, and he read that $1 trillion of cost from global warming for global companies. And these companies are not bad players. These companies help the normal citizens of the world. So we analyzed this, and based on this matrix, made our solutions. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so when we analyzed the timeline of Ant Financials, we saw that there were many subsidiaries that Ant Financial opened. And the main thing is they were mostly in the finance sector, wealth management, investments. And the things that we noticed is that all these beneficiaries benefit from each other because they were built one on top of each other to serve each other, to make the whole universe of Ant Financial add up. So that is what we saw as one of the main competitive advantages of ours, that all these companies benefit from each other and they're added on top of each other as well. Thank you. Then we dive deeper into CSR activity of Ant Financial, the newest project, Ant Forest. And we saw that it has a large user base. And that large user base is environmentally friendly, but doesn't have to tool to help the environment. And that is where Ant Financial came in. And Ant Financial gave money to the SEE Foundation to plant trees and regulate the climate. And the thing is, when we transferred that activity to the numbers, we saw that the cost of this project was rising sky high, from 72 million in 1 year. In the next 5 years, it is assumed that it's going to rise to 600 million. And we ask ourselves, was it really profitable for Ant Financial to continue? But we saw, on the other hand, that the user base was growing as well, because this was the only tool for Chinese and international citizens to help the environment as digital native as they are. So our key conclusion was, Ant Financial will not be able to finance the immense growth that Ant Forest is going to see. Afterwards, we saw that we have the competition and the pressure, and we're taking on the pressure. We have Tencent, who came in with WeChat, who has a large user base and large user stickiness as well. So their main competitive advantage to us is they have strong social features. But as well, we have us who have a large user base and strong tradition that we help individuals in China and in the world. So our key challenge here was that Ant Forest must enhance its social feature so it can sustain and regain the user stickiness to stay competitive in the market. So, our first strategy, based on our first key challenge, is that Ant Financial must rethink Ant Forest financing to ensure its sustainability and impact in the future. And our second strategy is based on the assumption that Ant Forest must improve its social and entertainment aspects of the platform to ensure that it stays competitive.
So let's start with the first strategy. Meet Sinan. She's a Chinese millennial. She's very environmentally aware, and she's a power user of Ant Forest. And her trees are like babies to her. When we look at her process in the Ant Forest, so she performs an activity like riding a bus, for example. Then she gets points for that, for carbon reduction points in grams. And finally, she uses them for Ant Forest to plant trees. However, there is one huge pain point for her, and that is why she might not be as engaged. And that is that she needs to collect a lot of points in order to make some significant impact. For example, take one populous tree. It takes more than 200,000 grams, and one bus ride is 80 grams. So she has to perform 207,000 bus rides in order to plant this tree. So that is why she will not be engaged with this. And we are going to help her reduce the price of one tree. Let's see how we're going to do it. We are going to do it with the Change the World Fund, where all of our consumers are going to provide money in small quantities. With this, we are going to give her a seamless and convenient way to provide what she wants the most, and that is to help the environment. So regarding to this, and regarding to the model that Isidora already has explained, we have to add two more things here in order to change this financing model. So the first one is to include Sinan to provide us, can you please change the slide? Put it over, please. Sinan to include her to change the world and to provide her with the opportunity to finance it. And also, we're going to sell carbon dioxide credit in the market as a big company, all collectively, and provide financing only with the money that we get there. But let's see how is money coming and why she is going to provide us with money. It is because it's going to be very fun for her. So she will opt to join with the End Forest Initiative and to contribute to the Change for the World Fund. How is it going to be? We'll connect this with Alipay, another product in our portfolio. So when she pays with Alipay, and it comes down to a balance that is not round, for example, 1,007.20 Chinese yuans, with this, we're going to take those 0.20 Chinese yuans and round it. She's a millennial, she's a perfectionist. She wants to have a round number in her balance. And she's providing with 0.20 Chinese yuans. Every single time, every day, every time she pays for a little bit. And with this, we get a value of and energy increased and less energy for one tree. Let's see how that works then. Next one, yes. So right now, for example, we have 55 million trees that are going to be planted, and all the financing cost is coming from the Ant Financial. But now, Ant Financial is going only to provide the financing through the selling of the tax credits, and the rest is going to be provided with the users seamlessly and conveniently. All the money that is above the line of the needed trees will be used to subsidize every next tree. So now there will be more trees and less cost for us. Everybody's happy. We have less cost, planet has more trees, people just have a seamless and convenient way to do it.
So to add on, our next strategy is the gamification. And what? The gamification of Ant Forest to enhance its competitiveness. Why? Because Ant Forest needs to stay competitive and respond to the ever-changing needs of consumers who will shift from one app to another. Thank you. So when we analyzed C, we saw that she is environmentally friendly and that she adores games. She spends at least 20% of her time daily on games. And she already planted her baby tree. So we just wanted to add developers who as well want to help out and want to see their products commercialized on a big platform as Ant Forest. So that is why our solution is to open up Ant Forest platform for developers to add on their gamification features, and for developers who gain the most, who get the best feature, who is mostly used and who use and features which are most used, they will get incentives and the rewards for their effort and trying to help the environment as well. So this is how our app should or looks like, much more pretty, of course, and our solution is to make the whole Ant Forest ecosystem, to add different gamification add-ons as animals, farmers, and make the whole ecosystem so people who use the app can exchange it and make it as interactive as the WeChat currently is. So, adding features made by developers to make the whole app more addictive and get that user stickiness up sky high. As well, the benefits for the developers are that their products will be saw on a platform as large and used as Ant Forest. So that is how we plan to connect the benefits for the C and benefit for the developers.
Thank you, Isidora. The key costs regarding our financial model strategies will be feature developments and fund management. And the key costs regarding our gamification strategies will be opening of the platform, education, and attracting of the developers to the platform, and marketing campaign, with a total cost of $14.3 million for the both strategies. Regarding the impacts of our recommendations, the key assumptions we took here is that one person will donate $7.9 US yearly to our platform, which means that in a year of 2020, we will have user base of 20 million users and a total of $158 million US collected. In the years of 2022, we will have user base of 50 million and $390 million collected. In the year of 2024, we will have user base of 100 million users and total of $790 million US collected. The further impacts of our strategies are, with a higher amount of money collected, we will be able to reduce the amount of points needed to grow one tree. So that will mean that in the year of 2024, we will be able to grow 788 million new trees.
So to ensure the success of our two strategies, small and beautiful changes for the world, we have created a timeline with a clear action path. So for the first strategy, changing the forest financial model, the first activity should be feature development, and we recommend to start right away. After that, we are going to dive deeper into the fund management, and we will establish a fund. For our second strategy, gamifying and forest project, we are going to do the research and development in the year 2020. We are going to open up the platform for the developers, and we are going to go into the intense marketing campaign in order to attract those developers onto our platform. And finally, we all know that no strategy is perfect, right? And that is why we have created a contingency plan, and we have analyzed what are the key risks and the mitigation plans for them. And we have analyzed those risks by the two factors, by the probability to occur and the impact of the risk. So the two key risks we have considered today is if the consumers are scared of the overinvestment, and if developers don't want to interact with us. And we plan to mitigate, and we strongly believe that we are going to mitigate those risks by incentivize the developers through other Alibaba financial products, and we are going to move extra funds to Yaebao.
So to sum up, what have we done today? We saw that the ant forest is a major project who can see an immense growth in the future, and that we should sustain on these projects to ensure our corporate social responsibility. Our first strategy tackled the thing that Ant Financial can't finance the growth of ant forest. And we have done that by taking the sum on the e-wallets of our users and asking them if they want to round up that sum for 20 yuans or less. If they want to click on that add-on and help the environment for the sum after the comma. And our second strategy was intended to gamify our platform more, because we saw that the users want to stay on the platform if they have the reason to. And we saw that developers as well want to see their products commercialized. So that is how we plan to enhance our user stickiness. All in all, setting the firm ground by ensuring the financial model and afterwards adding the features. And as my friend Rasko in beginning said, a lot of small efforts directed in one point will be much, much bigger than one impact. And that is what we tried to do today. Thank you very much for your attention and your time, and the floor is open for questions.
Thank you. Thank you, University of Belgrade. Let's move on to the 15 minutes Q&A session. Judges, please.
Yep, thank you very much. George, would you like to start, please?
Sure. Thank you. I heard about, this Ant Forest division team actually added a lot to the other business units in Ant Financial. Did you actually think about seeing Ant Forest as a contribution center? That means you have a chargeback mechanism for, other business units within Ant Financial contributing to the operating budget of Ant Forest. Yeah, that's my first question.
Thank you very much, sir, for your question. It's a really good one, and we discussed a lot about this. So the thing is, we do not want to make a brand purpose initiative earning money for the end financial. We believe that there will be huge public and user backlash, but because it is connected and our strategies are connected within end financial systems, that is how it's going to benefit the profit and the bottom line of the end financial as a whole. For example, users will be more motivated to pay with Alipay because that is how they save money. On the other hand, in our risk mitigation, you could hear that users be even motivated to set, for example, set a cap of how much they want to invest in end forest, and then put all of the rest in UEBAO in that order and into the cash cow of the end financial.
Well, I mean, I wonder if you also thought about when you engage the different business units, what's your value proposition? You know, like I'm doing good work, but actually I'm helping you, and please tell me what you expect from me in order for me to help you. And so it's going to be a lot more exchange of ideas and ownership and teamwork, and also mutual support, right? So did you think about that? I just wonder.
So yes, we thought about that, and we know that, for example, on our feature that is going to deduct, to round up money on Alipay, there has to be a cross-functional team between Ant Forest and Alipay that's going to develop this feature. And that is Ant Forest's selling point to them. It is people who are going to use it more because when they use Alipay, they contribute to the planet. And when they use, let's say, WeChat Pay, they just pay it.
So if I may add on, thank you very much for your question. If we suspect that thing from two views. If we see that the businesses that are involved on our hand as Alipay, as Ant Forest, there are benefits as well, because Alipay, we didn't think about investing money from Alipay because, as we read in the case, there has to be 100% of leverage for that money in the wallet. So that is why we try to focus our financing basically and mainly on the Ant Forest, and for that subsidiary to remain completely green or CSR as much as it can. And the benefits for the Alipay are as well a better reputation, a better view if there is a possibility to donate straight from that app. And if we watch the benefits for developers and benefits for the user, benefit for the user is that it's going to get, it can now play games on a platform that is environmentally friendly.
And if I may add, we strongly believe that the developers will use the Alibaba cloud also for developing the games.
Yeah.
My other question is about implementation of your two strategies. First is about stickiness. You know, you talk about first is forest.
Yeah.
Next, you talk about animals. I wanted to see whether did you think about anything specific, like your first killer expansion project, and likewise, I'd like to hear what is your first killer point idea for opening up the platform. You know, now your platform is for Ant Forest, but if you want to make it, you know, more engaging, you know, with more developers, what would be the first operation program that you want to launch? Yeah.
So if you're wondering if the question, thank you very much for your question. If it's intended for the features, as was stated on the slide, definitely the first one would be animals. Because as we see, when trees disappear, there's no animals as well. And by building that kind of environment and ecosystem, people will be more environmentally responsible by themselves. They will see how could our planet look if their extensive efforts are changing the digital universe. They will change the universe as well. So that would definitely be our killer point for the users. And our point for the developers is because most of them, me myself personally, I'm an ICT student and I code in my free time on projects that I like. And if I had a chance to code on my project, bringing an animal to this kind of platform in my free time because I code as well, I would definitely do it because I would have the opportunity to commercialize my project, for people to see it, to use it, to see that it has some benefits. So that would definitely be the main thing that we would communicate to the developers as well. For the ones who make the best add-ons, they would get incentives and they could use the and financial cloud services. So we would incentivize them from our portfolio as well if they needed another incentive besides commercializing the product.
Thank you. Thank you.
Susan.
I'd like to talk about the other aspect of this, the fund, please. I'd like to hear a little bit more about the investment profile of this fund. I would like to hear whether you have thought about the possibility of this fund cannibalizing the existing fund that Ant Financial have. You talk very much about how each of the subsidiaries benefit each other within Ant. I just want to make sure this is not going to change that. And thirdly, if you can remember all these questions, you mentioned at the very end about the possibility of transferring funds into the existing fund. How is that going to work, please? And have you thought about the regulatory aspect of that?
Thank you very much. Very good questions that we discussed about. So if I may start with the first one, and that is how is the fund going to work? So it's going to be based on our current UEBA fund that is very successful and that is very good at working with microfinancing. However, the most important aspect of this is to know that we are mostly going to subsidize the price of the tree. So it's going to be fluctuating. We will know how much trees people are going to collect. Our amazing AI capabilities will know how much trees they're going to be needed to plant in the future. So that is when we step in. So we subsidize. When we see that the number of trees is low and the value of those trees is lower than the size of the funds that we have collected, we're going to start subsidizing, lowering the number of points needed, and that is when the number of trees is going to, of course, go up, and the funds are going to down. And that is how we're going to balance it. And I think your second question is about cannibalization. So we do not want people to stop investing in the UEBA fund. We want them to continue that. However, this is how we turn them to invest even more. So we do, in the UEBA, they give some kind of small amounts voluntarily every day, and that's it. Here, we want them to do it seamlessly, conveniently, and unconsciously. So just rounding up numbers and giving, let's say, €1 per day, which is really, really enough to support this initiative. And if I remember, third question was about transferring between the funds. So it is never going to go to one fund and then from the fund to the UEBA fund. So they can, for example, set a cap on the first fund that says, for example, I don't want to spend on this more than 10 yuans per month.
I see. Right.
And the rest is going to go to UEBA fund. Yeah.
Right. Right. I understand. So every single user is going to have to engage with Ant to tell them at the outset what their cap is on transferring into the fund. That's going to take quite a bit of administration, I think, isn't it?
Thanks a lot. We discussed that. We believe that it is going to be able to automate that, same as they automate the payments in UEBA. So it's very seamless, it's instant. That is how this is going to work. So each time it's just going to be in order to put in our fund the change for the world fund, where they're going to put change, of course, we're going to, how to explain it? So we're going to allow them to just take the button in the Ant forest,
Right.
and then have the rest of the money there.
Right.
If they want to cap, then they have to engage in that one.
Okay, thank you.
If I may add on to that, why we opted in for the button and for the complete and for separating the funds, it's because it was stated in the case that large corporations, when they try to do kind of like this transmission from the funds, they can be seen as brokers. And with such large efforts that we did in order to maintain our CSR policy, we see that connecting the funds could be endangering possibility to our CSR politics. So that is why we separated them and added the feature on its own.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, the central idea seems to be that you really want to actually introduce a whole class of developers to interact, and then that will generate the sparks. What is the basis for you to say this? Have you done some research that would actually, really enhance the process? Or it's just a thought that this looks natural, and of course it's going to be synergistic?
Thank you very much for your question. Actually, I think it was mostly derived from our experience. Let's say for a benchmark, a Pokemon Go, when they virtualize the universe around itself, it had a massive growth, not only in the first year, but afterwards as well. People are still playing it, still interacting with it. And that is why we introduced developers as maybe see as a developer as well, because we see developers not as like some foreign creatures. That's a normal being who wants to help the planet as well. And that is why we try to include them first in this kind of our ecosystem, because we see those kind of degrees increasing as well, IT, infrastructure, coding.
Would you think that you and financial would have a real advantage to actually get people from the developer community to participate? What makes you think that would actually be well received and it will really generate a lot of interest?
So thank you for the question. On the side of us and how it's going to benefit us, we just imagine, for example, Apple Store or Google Play Store, where Google and Apple are only ones that are developing the apps. It will be not as much as fun. There will be no billion apps to choose from, and that is why we want features to be developed by independent developers. And regarding for them, we do not want them to engage in this full time. We want them to use what they know best in order to maximize their input into their contribution to the helping planet.
On gamification, that looks like a very good idea when you add animals and trees and so on. But obviously, if your idea is good, somebody else is going to take it, right? It will be copied and so on. And you're facing Tencent, who happens to be pretty good at gamification. Yeah. Is that the right feature to use?
Well, to see what we have right now, this is our first step of somewhat gamification of environmental impact. So we saw that as a natural transition, not just to enter the Tencent space, but to enlarge ours in that way, because even if Tencent has large budgets, many companies underrate that are only for gaming, we see us with a large client base with specific interests of environmental friendliness. And Tencent doesn't, from our experience, doesn't have games that are specifically environmentally friendly. We want to give the specific product to the specific client base. That was why we thought in that direction.
Yes, if I may give an example. So in Tencent, you're investing money and you're investing time and not getting that much in return. With our games, you're going to give the social impact return, which is going to be our unique selling proposition to users.
Any follow-up question?
One more
Yes,
question,
please.
maybe. You talked very, very briefly about the possibility of selling the carbon credits. Can you, in the time remaining, can you expand on that a little bit more? I'm just not sure how feasible that really is.
Yes, so thank you very much. It is, as stated in the case, there is a huge carbon reduction that is happening through our app, and we have quantified it through the grams of users, for example. So we are going to take all of this as one big asset and sell it on the market and invest all of that money in the fund. That is why, how are we going to not be the brokers or anything, we're just going to be the ones that collect all of the simultaneous efforts of our users into one big effort that is going to contribute to the fund.
Talking about understanding the 350 million users in your deliberation, what came across as a top few wish list items or anything they want?
Top fear?
Yeah.
Sorry.
The top few wish list items. What new things they want, what improvement they want, what crazy but good things you can put together for them. Did anything like that come across, the team during your deliberation or discussions?
Yeah.
Yes, so first, thank you. And we looked at the process, and we have seen that the biggest thing that they have, the biggest pain point, is the one of collecting. So even for the simplest tree, you need to collect it for a very, very long of time. And that is the biggest pain point of them, because many of them get disengaged through that process of collecting for the tree. And for example, as we said, it's almost 2,700 bus rides. Nobody does that per year.
I'm sorry, but your time is up. And thank you very much. Thank you once again. University of Belgrade, representing Serbia. Thank you.